everyone, thank you for clicking on this video. In this video I will be going over the TMEA 2020 Flute A Etude number 3, A Major Cantabile alla Moderna by Kuhler. And this video is for students who may not have had any instruction on this piece. If you feel like you're just really starting out or you haven't even looked at the piece, then this video is for you. I will go over the basic rhythms and teach you as much as I can about this etude, but this is really just a kind of a foundational video to help you get started and make sure that you're playing all of the right notes, rhythms, articulations, pointing out the dynamics of the piece and the style of the piece. So really just giving you a good foundation and basically give you pointers on where to start, especially if you're confused or maybe a little intimidated by learning this music. So definitely stay tuned if you think this video is for you. Thank you. So first in this video, I would really like to go over typically missed rhythms or rhythms that I would usually hear played wrong by my students. And hopefully we can get those rhythms corrected, before you even miss them. So that's really where I would start on this piece and start teaching my students how to play this piece. So the first commonly missed rhythm, and this kind of, really these might go for all of the pieces of music that you play, but something to watch out for is the tied notes or the dotted notes. And so first I'll talk about the tied notes in this etude. So beginning with measure 1, we have this half note. Sorry, it's a little blurry, but we have a half note tied to a 16th note. Now when you're putting that with the metronome, you'll actually hear 3 clicks. You'll have 2 clicks right here on the half note, and then your third click will happen right there on the 16th note. However, you have to move off of that, right off of that click on the E and A, or the second 16th note of the third click. So you would hear 1, 2, 3 E and A for E and A. But make sure that you're holding that A natural all the way until you definitely hear that third click. It would be pretty common for my students to think they heard it, but they sort of jump the gun and move a little bit too early. So really, you want to also be subdividing that tied note and thinking that subdivision so that you're definitely making sure that you're right with the metronome, and then also taking the metronome away later on and trying to make sure that you are completely steady and with the tempo and accurate on your rhythms. So I definitely advocate for lots of subdivision practice. So I'll go ahead and continue pointing out tied notes, and this is definitely even what I would have my students mark in on their music. So mark in the down arrows, or sometimes instead I just have them do straight lines to indicate the downbeats right there. So here on this quarter note tied to a 16th, again you'd hear 2 clicks, and on that second click you have to move on the E and A. So you'd hear 1 E and A 3. Okay, and then that is also repeated right here. So again you'd have 2 clicks right there. So I would just go ahead and draw that in on your music, and I'm going to continue doing that for the tied note. So we have 1, 2 counts on that half note. The third is on that 16th note. That's in measure 5. You can go ahead and pause the video and mark these in if you need to. I'm going to keep going, keep searching for any tied notes that we have in here. So again, quarter note tied to a 16th, gonna hear 2 clicks before you move. Also making sure you don't move too early on any long notes, like a half note, making sure that you're playing that for full value and in time. We have another tied quarter note to a 16th right there in measure 15. Another tied in measure 19 where we have a half note tied to a tied to an eighth note. So you're actually gonna have to wait to move. My pen's not working that well. Okay, move on the and of count 3. So this tied note is actually longer than the others. However, if you take a breath in between, and that's what the green is marked right there, it might just actually sound like you're holding all the way until count three, and then breathe right before you place the F sharp precisely on the upbeat. So I would definitely have that written in on there, and then keep going. In measure 23 we have tied notes. Sorry, my dog is barking. Tied half note to a 16th note. So again, 3 clicks right there. In measure 25 we have a quarter note tied to a 16th, so you're going to hear 2 clicks in there. In measure 26 we have a quarter note tied to a 16th, so again 2 clicks in there. Measure 27 we have a half note tied to a 16th, so you're going to hear 3 clicks moving on the E and A. Measure 30 we have tied quarter note to a 16th, so that's 2 clicks before you move. In measure 31 you have quarter note tied to a 16th, again 2 clicks. So you can definitely see the pattern in here, and just make sure that you play it really accurate every single time you encounter it. Then here we also have 2 clicks and then you move. I do want to point out that there is a tempo change in this etude, that it does change to largo, which means slow, just for that end portion right there. And the goal tempo that TMEA wants you to go, preferably for the audition, is between 112 and through 136. However, in this video I'll definitely be going a lot slower so everyone can really understand and play along with me, and kind of practice this piece together before you start working on it and getting it faster. So yeah, so that should be all of the tied notes in this etude. You can definitely pause the video and check and make sure that you have everything written in on your copy of the music. Now I'm going to go on to further talk about the rhythms. So pause, mark those in. So I did say that the rhythmic challenging parts would be the tied notes, but also the dotted notes. So now I'm going to go ahead and mark those in. So I'm going to zoom in. This is measure 6, and so you can see on counts 3 and 4 we have that dotted quarter note that gets 1.5 beats. However, with the metronome you're going to hear 2 clicks right there, and then on the and of that second click, that's where you place that 8th note. So for example, this will be counted as 3 and so you really have to wait for that and for that upbeat. And so I would definitely think about how your foot moves. When your foot taps, it would be down, down, up, down, down, up, or 3 and. So making sure that you're holding those dotted quarter notes, or really any dotted notes, for the precise value, and in this case placing that 8th note properly right on the upbeat. So now I'm going to go ahead and look for any more rhythms like that in this piece. So we have another one where it repeats down here. So again, thinking down, down, up, 3 and so kind of tapping your foot along, making sure that you're playing that for the correct value. So I believe that's all of the dotted notes that I see in this etude. If there was a dotted 8th, 16th rhythm, I would explain that. However, there isn't in this etude. There's actually one in the F major etude, so I do talk about that rhythm there in that video. So another misplayed rhythm is actually a really easy rhythm, It's actually a quarter note, and you wonder, how can you mess up a quarter note? Well, usually, or especially in this etude, there are quarter notes before you have a rest, and the common mistake is to clip them really short and not hold them for the full value of the entire beat. So for example, in measure 2, we have a quarter note right here. It's often that students get to that and just sort of clip it off and make it only sound for the duration of maybe like an eighth note, or even as short as a 16th, I've heard. However, it needs to sound for the entire beat, and you need to stop the sound like almost right when you hear that count 4. So we're counting along, and we have 1, 2 E and a 3 off, and right on the O of off, or right before that click happens, that's when you cut off. So we have 1, 2 E and a 3 stop. So right on stop there. And so the way that I remind myself or my students to, not clip those notes before rest is I just sort of write a nice tenuto marking, or just a line over the note, so that they know that it needs to be held for full value. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that in. So we have another one in measure 4. So just making sure that you're holding all of these notes for the full duration of the beat, and you're not clipping it off too early unless otherwise indicated. If there was some sort of staccato, then it would definitely be shorter. However, that's not the case in this piece of music. So making sure that you're holding them out for the full volume. See another one in measure 24 right here. I'm trying to draw straight lines, they're just not coming out. Okay, measure 26, holding that for full value. Yeah, so don't miss those quarter notes. See this note in measure 32, this one is short. We have staccato, it's a 16th note, so it's a staccato 8th note, so it'll probably sound almost like it's a 16th note. So that one you can definitely clip, make it sound pretty short. However, all of the other ones should definitely get the full length or duration of the beat. Another rhythm that seems simple but often ignored is the rests. And often students just sort of get to a rest and their brain kind of checks out, and they're not really subdividing or counting during the rests, and they don't really practice how to come in after a rest. And often maybe they're anxious, so they sort of clip the rest too short and jump in too early, or perhaps they're just completely checked out and just don't come in at all, and they're not really sure or hesitant to come in. So that's also common. So I would definitely make sure that when you're practicing this, you are actually counting through the rests and counting that transition between coming in after a rest, and that you're resting for the proper amount of time. If you're not playing the rhythms right of the notes, and if you're not resting properly, those are equal rhythmic mistakes. So definitely pay attention to the rests in this etude and make sure that you're actually counting or subdividing or saying something in your mind to actually come in after the rests. So I'll talk about a couple of the rests. There's not too much that I can really write in on the rests, but I'll definitely try to give you some help. So first we have a 16th note rest right here. And so this is where your downbeat is. So we have counts 1, 2, and 3 right there. And then this is your downbeat of count 4. And then we have E and A, or it's followed by 3 16th notes. And the note that's actually going to be placed on the upbeat is this A natural right there. So we have rest, E and A 1, rest, E and A 1, rest, E and A 1. And I would just practice saying that out loud with the metronome and counting, and then say it out loud and finger through the notes. And just make sure that you're practicing that with the metronome and practice your entrance. And then, also start at the beginning of measure 2 and practice that transition. So making sure that you're practicing the rests. It's something that, you know, students don't often do and they just kind of ignore it. However, it's really important, especially if you're going to play this rhythmically in time without the metronome. So another rest, next one we have is in measure 4. And so I'm going to show the entire measure. So we have counts 1, 2, this is count 3, count 4 is right here. This is an 8th rest, that's the down, and then this happens just on the up. So we have rest and 1, down, up, down, rest and 1. So making sure that you're playing that properly. All right, here we just have a full quarter rest. So you're gonna have to wait. I would just write the word wait. So we have the full measure is 1, E and a 3, rest, or you can think wait, 1. So this is a much longer duration of time, especially if you're practicing at a slower speed. And I also think that's why students tend to shorten these rests, is because they just want to hurry up and get to the next measure and start playing the notes. Here's another quarter rest right here. So we have 1, 3, off, and then rest, 1, and you're coming on count 1 of measure 13. But I'm going to go ahead and write the words wait. And I also have a breath mark in there. So if you're breathing during the rest, that's also going to help you not play during the rests. So that's definitely something to think about. Then we have another 16th rest right here. So down, the up happens over there. So we have rest, E and a 1, rest, E and a 1. And you can just keep practicing that until you definitely get those entrances correct. Here's an 8th rest. So this is on the down beat. This is on the up beat. So we have rest and 1, rest and 1, or down, up, down, and you're just resting on the down. So I would definitely kind of think about rhythms, you know, and how they are placed, you know, if you were tapping your foot along to the music. And then down here, this is actually count 1 right here. And then this is just the and of count 1. So you're actually going to come in on count 2. So this is 1, 2 right there. So we have 1, 2, E and a 4, E and a stop. Okay, I think that's all of the rests for the piece. So you can go ahead, and if you think marking in, you know, or saying something during the rests, that's definitely going to help you a lot. So the next rhythm that I want to talk about is actually in these measures. For example, actually I'll kind of zoom out right here. So for example, in measure 9, first we have a quarter note, and then on count 2 we have 4 16th notes, and then on counts 3 and 4 we have triplets. So you're actually going to have to vary your subdivision that you're thinking while you're playing this. And so I'll count the rhythm first. So we have 1, 2 E and a 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1. Or what I like to think is I just say triple it, triple it. So you could count it 1, 2 E and a triple it, 1. And just saying triplet during the triplets. That's very easy to remember, and make sure that you're subdividing those properly. And so what we're actually talking about here is duple subdivision and triple versus triple subdivision. So duple subdivision is really anything that can be divided down into 8th notes. So this quarter note certainly can. You know, we have down, up, and then down, up right here. And then on counts 3 and 4, how I would actually mark it in is I like to draw a triangle over the first triplet group that I encounter during the measure. So we have down, down E, up E, triple it. Or 1, 2 E and a 3 lolly, 4 lolly. Or 1, 2 E and a triple it. And you probably don't need these too much, but I would still just really be thinking, down, down, E, up, E, or, just one, and really subdividing during those eighth note subdivisions. And then we have triplet, triplet with the triplet subdivision on. And so you can actually, on your metronome, I would practice the first half of the measure with the eighth notes counting, and then the second half of the measure with the triplet subdivision on. And so again, I'm going to mark in wherever I see triplets, the first one with a triangle there, and it repeats. We have more in measure 13, measure 14. Let's see, I think I got them all in this piece. So there's kind of only this one section right here where we do have that duple versus triple subdivision, or the eighth note subdivision versus the triplet subdivision. And so I would first get really comfortable saying that rhythm with the metronome. And if you're even having issues just saying it with the metronome, I would just, put on the metronome really slow, maybe quarter note equals 56, put on the triplet subdivision and just say triplet, triplet, just over and over with the metronome until you're comfortable with it. Then just on a single note, play triplets with the metronome. Get used to playing triplet subdivision with the metronome. It's very often that students don't do that, but this is an area that it's definitely really necessary. And then once you're done playing the triplets on a single note, then try to play the notes that are written there and play them in triplets, and you can go beat by beat and just make sure that they're very even with the metronome, with the subdivision on. And you can break that down and practice the first half of the measure with the eighth note subdivision on, and then the second half of the measure with the triplet subdivision on. And then you want to take away that subdivision, or at least the clicks on the metronome, so that you can practice the entire measure. And first you can say it with the metronome and then just play it with the metronome. So that's definitely how I would suggest practicing the transition between duple subdivision and triple subdivision. So now I'll actually get into counting the etude itself, starting at the beginning. But basically, my goal for this video is for you to just have a really sound rhythmic stability, and to be able to play this, hopefully from very early on with the metronome. Rhythmic stability is just definitely one of the number one things that the judges will be listening for. Obviously, you want to have good tone, but pretty much right after that is you want good rhythmic stability. And it's not too difficult for you to teach yourself the notes. If you don't know any of the notes, or if there's some notes that you don't know the fingerings to, or maybe you're just like, wow, what's a E sharp? Pull up a fingering chart. That's going to be the easiest way for you to just double check and make sure that you know how to play every single note in this piece. So already you have a lot of help there just from a fingering chart. And so really kind of all the tools that you need to learn this music are pretty much this video where I'm going to go over the rhythms, and then you just, if you don't know any of the notes, just bring out a fingering chart. And then all you have to do after that is just have the will to sort of practice and go over this daily. And that will definitely should be more than enough to get you started learning this etude and help you to be able to teach yourself this etude. So fingering chart, learning how to count this with the metronome, that's going to be some of the most beneficial things that you could start doing right now. So now I will start at measure 1 and just count the first phrase. This is from measures 1 through measures 4, and again I kind of have the phrase marked off by these blue kind of like parentheses or brackets, and these are the sections or the parts that we'll learn this etude in, just so that we can sort of break it down so that we can put it back together later. So I have my metronome out and I have it set to 56, or quarter note equals 56. So we're starting nice and slow to learn this etude. Again, the goal tempo is 112 for the auditions. but you have to start somewhere, right? So first I will count this with the metronome. Definitely try to count along with me, or if you're not really familiar with counting so much, maybe listen to it first and then rewind the video and count it with me. Okay, so beginning, counting measures 1 through 4 together. 1, 2, ready, go. And 1, E and a 4, E and a 1, 2, E and a 3, E and a 1, E and a 3, E and a 4, E and a 1, E and a 3, and 1. So kind of practicing that rest right there, and making sure that we have, playing those quarter notes for full value and everything. So now I will just go through it and play this for you. The only note that I see that might be an issue for you is if you don't know what an A sharp is. Oh, again, I want to point out the key signature. We are in A major. We have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. So first, definitely before you start playing this, I would play through your A major scale, and if you don't have it, you can actually just Google, Flute A major scale, and as long as it, starts on A, has 3 sharps, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, that will definitely help you before you start playing this, being familiar playing in sharp keys. So again, we have an A sharp in measure 4. I would go ahead and write that in. However, A sharp is fingered like B flat, but when you write it in, you definitely want to write the actual note name that it is. Or else if you write in B flat, then you're going to be confused when you go to the next note, because you'll think that all the B's are flats, and so you might kind of cross your wires and get those mixed up. So yeah, younger students tend to want to write in the alternative name for those more difficult and harmonic notes, but definitely try to write in whatever the actual name is, so that you can learn that new fingering of that note. So A sharp is fingered like B flat. However, write in A sharp and learn that is a new fingering for you, so that you can play that properly. So here's how the measures 1 through 4 sound. 1, 2, and ready, go. And there we have it. So that is the first phrase of music. You can go ahead, rewind that, play it back, or just count along so that you make sure that you're holding those rhythms out properly. All right, so let's move on to phrase number 2. I don't see anything too difficult in here. We do have a D sharp in measure 7, which is fingered like E flat. However, if you're gonna write in D sharp. And then we do have this chromatic section through there. So I'm gonna count it first, and then I'm gonna play it. If you're having trouble with the notes, if I were you, I would just hold out each individual note. So you can pause the video, kind of preview this section, and then play it and make sure that you're playing with the right rhythms, right notes and everything like that. So I'm gonna count it, then I'll play it. So starting pickups to measure 5, count with me. 1, 2, and ready, go. And 1, E and a 4, E and a 1, 2, E and a 3, and 1, E and a 2, E and a 3, and a 4, E and a 1, E and a 3, wait, 1. All right, so that's how you count that. Now I will play it. 1, 2, ready, go. let's go ahead, put phrase 1 and 2 together. And if you missed anything or you need to practice it, feel free to pause at any time. Starting measure 1 through 8. 1 and ready, go. So that's beginning, measures 1 through measures 8. Again, when you practice this, if you're missing any individual beats, just practice the specific beat and then add on beats on both sides of it, and then start playing the whole measure, and then add your measures together. Then measures make phrases, and then phrases make whole sections. So make sure that you're kind of reviewing what you're practicing pretty often, just how I did, where I played through the first phrase, played through the second phrase, added them back in together, making sure that you have right notes, rhythms, articulations, dynamics. We're pretty much just forte throughout this entire section, and so you really want to use a lot of vibrato on those notes that are longer, maybe a quarter note or longer, just like how I'm playing, so that you can really have that singing quality to the music, because Cantabile alla moderna, which means modern singing style, and so this allegro maestoso, it's fast and it's stately. So you really and con ardore, as it says in the first measure, means with passion. So really just playing out, playing confident, playing forte is what's going to help you throughout this etude, so you can make sure you have the character as well as everything that's written on the page properly learned. So now let's keep on going. We're going to start in measure 9 right there and end in measure 12, and this phrase actually makes the whole first half of the piece. So once you reach measure 12, you'll at least have half of it learned, and that's definitely going to be a really a step up and making sure that you have at least half of it learned. That's really going to help early on. So let's start counting measure 9. So again, remember, in here we have the duple subdivision, and then the triple subdivision starts on count 3. So let's go ahead and count together. Remember, the words are 1, 2e and a triplet, triplet. So I'll put on my metronome and let's count that together. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2e and a triplet, triplet, 1, 2e and a triplet, triplet, 1, 2e and a 3, 4e and a 1, 3, off. And so holding that last note for the full value. Definitely go back and try that again. It's going to take a little bit of practice to make sure that your triple subdivision is just as solid as playing in the duple. So I'm going to help you practice that transition a little bit. So I'm going to put on the 8th note subdivision. I'm just going to play the first 2 counts. Actually, I'm going to count it first. So we have 1, 2e and a 3. Count with me, go. 1, 2e and a 3. If you need to pause, practice the notes, you can do that. I'm going to keep going. So let's play beats 1 and 2 of measure 9. 1, ready, go. Again, ready, go. Again, go. Okay. Now we're going to practice 3 and 4. So now you put the triplet subdivision on, and you can count it first. Triplet, triplet, 1, or 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1. Triplet, triplet, 1. So let's play counts 3 and 4 of measure 9. 1 lolly, 2, ready, go. Again, go. And now you can actually take away that subdivision, practice it without. So 1 lolly, 2 lolly, or triple it, triple it. Playing counts 3 and 4 again, triple it, go. Again, go. So let's go back and practice just counts 1 and 2 without the subdivision. So we're thinking 1, 2 E and a 3, or down, down E, up E, down. Ready, play. Again, go. Again, go. Again, go. Now practicing counts 3 and 4. Gonna say triplets first. Triple it, triple it, triple it. All right, playing. Triple it, go. Again, go. Now we will play counts 1 and 2 and rest for a quarter rest, and then play triplets. And I might say triple it in that rest so that I can kind of switch my thinking over to triplets. So 1 and ready, go. Triple it. Again, ready, go. Again, go. Now let's put that all together, play it as written, as you see there on the page. So no rest or anything weird like that. 1 and 2, ready, play. Again, go. And if you're having issues with the notes in this measure, it's actually just the same 3 notes in the entire measure. We only have F sharp, A, C sharp. So that should be easy for you to remember. Now in measure 10, we have the same rhythm, we just have different notes. Let's fermata the notes together. So this is what I would actually do is I would just hold out the notes just to make sure I'm playing them correctly, or maybe you don't know how to finger E sharp, so E sharp is fingered like F natural. However, if you're going to write that in, just write in E sharp, or maybe on a separate page just so you can remember, write E sharp equals F natural, or something like that to help you out. So let's just fermata the notes together. So we have G sharp, B, C sharp, E sharp, G sharp, C sharp, E sharp, G sharp, C sharp, E sharp, G sharp, A. All right, so hopefully that helped you with the notes. You can look up any fingerings that you need to. And I would actually practice it like that on my own. You can just say the note name and then play the note. That's really going to help you connect the fingering with actually reading that note. So you're not having to sit here. You don't want to write in every single note name. That's really not going to help you practice reading music. So that's kind of one way to practice that. Now, again, let's do the rhythm. So I'm going to, again, put on that 8th note subdivision and just practice beats 1 and 2 of measure 10. 1 and ready, go. Again, go. Again, go. Again, go. Okay, putting on the triplet subdivision, practicing beats 3 and 4 of measure 10. 1 lolly, ready, go. Again, go. Again, go. Okay, now I'm going to take away the subdivision, playing just beats 1 and 2 of measure 10. 1 and ready, go. Next, beats 3 and 4, triple it, ready, go. Again, go. And so just like how I'm counting myself off, you should try to count off yourself when you're practicing with the metronome. So if you're playing in Duple, you can say 1 and 2, ready, go. So you're really thinking that down, up, 8th note subdivision. And then when you're about to play triplets, you can just say triplet, ready, go. And that way you're thinking in the triplet subdivision. So that's something that I would also recommend. So now let's play beats 1 and 2 with a quarter note rest in between, and then play beats 3 and 4, just like we did on the most previous measure. 1 and ready, go. Whole thing again, ready, go. All right, so that's how you would practice that. Now we're going to put it all together, take away that rest, and just play the full measure. 1 and ready, go. Again, go. All right, let's add on the previous measure. So playing measures 9 and 10. 1 and 2, ready, go. Whole thing again, measure 9, ready, go. All right, let's look forward to the next. Now we will look at measures 11 and 12. So first thing I would do is say and finger the note names. So we have A, C sharp, F sharp, A, C sharp. Then we have B sharp, fingered like C natural, F double sharp, fingered like G natural because we have F and you sharp it once and it becomes F sharp, sharp it again, it becomes G. So we have F double sharp, so it's kind of like sharp twice. So again, F double sharp is fingered like G natural. Then we have G sharp, B sharp, fingered like C, D sharp, fingered like E flat, E sharp, fingered like F natural, and then C sharp. So again, you can use a fingering chart if you need to look those up and write in any notes, but I would write the note that I see. So if you're missing B sharp, I would just write B sharp in. So let's go ahead. We'll play the notes and just I'll dictate each note and just hold it out. So we're gonna kind of fermata them together. So first play A, then C sharp, F sharp, A, C sharp, B sharp, F double sharp, G sharp, B sharp, D sharp, E sharp, C sharp. Okay, so go ahead and practice those notes if you need to. I'm going to count it and then I'll play it. 2, counting, go. 1, 2 E and a 3, 4 E and a 1, 3, off. I'm going to play it. Why don't you finger along first? 1, ready, go. Now play it together with me. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, let's move backwards. We're gonna start on measure 9, playing 9 through 12. 1 and 2, ready, go. together. Let's start in pickups to measure 5. Pickups to measure 5. All the way through 12. Okay. 1 and 2. Ready, go. Alright, going to piece more of it together, move back, and start in measure 1, all the way from measure 1 through measure 12. And again, you can kind of listen back to this multiple times and either just listen or choose to play along. Going into measure 1, 1 and 2, ready, go. Alright, so that's everything for this video. That was measures 1 through 12. I'll do the rest of the etude in another part 2 video. Hopefully this video helped you and you were able to work on the rhythms and, check and make sure that you're playing all of the right notes and that you're playing it the way you should be. Alright, so thank you so much for listening. Bye.